2003, Sarah Mitchell, who lived in a city called Sedona. She woke up thinking it would be just another normal day. She had no idea she was about to discover a hidden secret that would turn everything she had ever believed about her family upside down. You know that feeling in your chest, that strange feeling that something isn't right. That's exactly what Sarah felt when she went down to the basement of the house she had just inherited from her grandmother. The place was dark, smelled of mildew, and the stairs made that creepy noise. But she went down anyway. Down there, amidst a pile of old boxes, faded photos, and forgotten things, her hand brushed against something cold. It was an old cell phone, all dusty and thrown under a dirty cloth. Sarah picked up the device, looked at it curiously, but thought, "Oh, it's just an old phone," and she put it aside. But 3 weeks later, when she finally got a charger and decided to turn the thing on, everything changed. The screen flickered weakly, but turned on, and there was an audio recording there, just one, 4 minutes and 27 seconds. Sarah pressed play without expecting anything special, but when the voice started coming from that cell phone, her heart almost stopped. It was Uncle Robert's voice, the uncle who, according to everyone in the family, had disappeared more than a year ago because he was running away from debt. But what he was saying in that recording had nothing to do with money. He was talking about lies, about people with false identities, about an old crime that no one ever solved. And at the very end of the audio, just before it cut off abruptly, he whispered desperately, "They're here. Stay with me until the end, because what Sarah discovered after listening to this recording will keep you up all night. Because that cell phone didn't just hold one message." Before I continue this story, I need to tell you something from the heart. If you've ever been through that moment of discovering something about someone you love that made you question everything, leave a comment below. And if you're enjoying this story, if it's captivating you as much as it's moving me to tell it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Robert Harrison. He wasn't just Sarah's uncle. He was the man she admired most in the world. You know that person in the family that everyone loves? The one who tells incredible stories, who makes you laugh, who teaches you things that nobody else teaches? That was him. Robert was a history professor, one of those who lived inside books, but not in a boring way, you know? He was passionate about discovering the truth behind things. Always curious, always asking unsettling questions. And it was precisely this curiosity that sealed his fate. In August 2002, Robert simply disappeared, out of nowhere. The family received a handwritten note, somewhat vague, saying that he needed to start over away from debt. Everyone believed it immediately. After all, Robert had always been a bit impulsive, right? He bought too many books, traveled without telling anyone, did things on impulse. So when he disappeared, the family kind of accepted that explanation without questioning it much. But Sarah? Sarah never bought that story. She knew her uncle. She knew that, however impulsive he was, he would never, ever, under any circumstances, leave without saying goodbye to her. They were too close for that. She felt deep down that something was wrong, but she had no way to prove it. So she kept that feeling, that unease, tucked away in a corner of her soul. A year later, in 2003, Grandma Margaret died. Sarah inherited that enormous house, full of dark rooms, creaking stairs, doors that you swear will open by themselves in the middle of the night. You know those old houses that seem to hold secrets in their walls? It was exactly like that. And it was while exploring every corner of that place, trying to bring order to the chaos her grandmother left behind, that Sarah went down to the basement. A damp, poorly lit place, full of rusty tools, locked chests, and boxes stacked up for decades. And it was there, in that place forgotten by everyone, that she found the silver Motorola cell phone. At that moment, Sarah had no idea what she had just found. To her, it was just an old phone thrown in the middle of the mess. But that device held Robert's last message, and what he had to say went far, far beyond debts. It went beyond anything Sarah could imagine. Because the truth is, Robert didn't run away. He discovered something that very powerful people didn't want to come to light, and that 4-minute and 27-second recording was proof of it. 3 weeks had passed since Sarah found that cell phone in the basement. 3 weeks searching for a charger compatible with that old model that no one used anymore. When she finally found one, she plugged it in without much expectation. The screen flickered weakly, took an eternity of seconds, but turned on, and there it was, preserved in time like a capsule of the past, a voice message recorded on August 12, 2002, exactly 3 days before Robert disappeared. Sarah's hands trembled as she pressed play, without imagining the impact it would have on her life. The voice that came from the cell phone was Robert's, but it wasn't the voice she knew. It wasn't that cheerful, confident, lively tone that made her laugh at family gatherings. It was a tense, broken, terrified voice. And the first words he spoke made Sarah's heart freeze completely. "Sarah, if you're hearing this, then I was right." He knew. Somehow he already knew what was going to happen to him. And he continued, "I found out something about Grandma Margaret, something she's hidden her whole life. She's not who she says she is." Sarah had to pause the recording, take a deep breath, process it. This couldn't be true. Her grandmother? The woman who raised her, who baked cakes on Sundays, who told her bedtime stories? But Robert's voice left no room for doubt. He said he found hidden documents in his grandmother's office, a fake birth certificate, old newspaper clippings from the 60s about a case that was never solved in Nebraska. A woman named Dorothy Hayes disappeared under suspicious circumstances, and when Robert saw her picture in the newspapers, he realized something chilling. She was identical to his grandmother when she was young. Sarah paused again. The impact of those words was too great. Her mind tried to process it, but couldn't piece it all together. What did she mean by false identity? What did she mean by Grandma having another name, a whole other life before becoming Margaret? But the recording continued, and Robert's voice grew increasingly desperate, more urgent. He said he confronted his grandmother the day before, that she firmly denied everything, but that he saw the fear in her eyes, a real, deep fear, the kind that can't be hidden. And then Robert said something that sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. "Today I realized I'm being followed." He was afraid. He knew he had messed with something dangerous, with dangerous people. And yet he decided to hide the evidence in the basement before trying to leave that house. And that's when things got even stranger. In the middle of the recording, Sarah heard a sound she would never forget. A door creaking, heavy footsteps slowly approaching. Robert's breathing became labored, rapid, uncontrolled. And then he whispered, his voice choked with pure despair, "They're here. Sarah, if anyone finds this, tell the truth." And the audio cut off. Silence. Nothing more. Sarah stood there, paralyzed, holding that cell phone as if it were going to burn in her hand. Who were they? Who entered that room? And what did they do to Robert? Because at that moment, with her heart pounding erratically in her chest, Sarah understood something the entire family had refused to see for over a year. Robert never ran away. He never left that house. Sarah couldn't sleep that night. Robert's voice echoed in her head, that desperate whisper, those approaching footsteps. She knew she couldn't simply ignore it. In the following days, she transformed into something she never imagined she could be, a detective of her own family. She returned to the basement, but this time with a clear purpose. She searched every corner, every box, every pile of old things. She searched for hours, days, until she found something that changed everything. Underneath loose floorboards, hidden as if someone wanted it never to be found, was a rusty metal box. When Sarah opened it, her heart raced. Inside were the documents Robert mentioned in the recording: certificates, yellowed newspaper clippings, old photos. And everything confirmed it. Margaret Mitchell never existed before 1965. The woman Sarah had called grandmother her whole life was, in fact, Dorothy Hayes, a woman who disappeared in 1964 after being accused of complicity in a murder that was never solved. Sarah felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. How do you process a revelation like that? How do you accept that the person you loved, who raised you, who taught you values, was actually someone else, someone who had fled a criminal past, but the worst was yet to come. As Sarah examined the basement more closely, she noticed something that made her nauseous. There were marks on the concrete floor, marks that didn't make sense. Part of the floor looked newer than the rest, as if it had been redone. And when she checked dates, records, and spoke with former neighbors, she discovered that the concrete had been redone exactly in the summer of 2002, the same summer that Robert disappeared. The truth hit her like a punch. Robert never fled that house. He was silenced right there in the basement where he tried to hide the evidence. People protecting Margaret's secret did it. Perhaps accomplices in the original crime in Nebraska, perhaps even members of her own family who knew too much and couldn't let the truth come out. Sarah knew what she needed to do, even if it meant destroying the entire family's image. She gathered everything, every document, every recording, every piece of evidence, and took it to the police. The impact was devastating. The police opened a formal investigation. They exhumed the basement, and there, in the cold, damp soil of that house that held so many secrets, they found human remains. DNA testing confirmed what Sarah already knew deep down. It was Robert Harrison. He had been murdered and buried right there, in the same house where he grew up, where he spent Christmases, where he taught Sarah to love history. The case reopened wounds the family had tried to hide for decades. 2 accomplices were identified, former friends of Margaret, who were involved in the original crime in Nebraska and who came to protect her secret when Robert discovered the truth. They confessed. They admitted everything. And finally, after so much time, justice was served. Today, Sarah keeps that cell phone as if it were the most precious thing she owns. Not out of nostalgia, not because she likes to remember all that pain, but out of respect for her uncle, who had the courage to seek the truth even knowing the risk he was taking. Robert's curiosity cost him his life, but it revealed something that deserved to be exposed. He died seeking justice, and in a way, he found it. Because that recording, that desperate plea to tell the truth, was not in vain. Sarah fulfilled his last wish. The house was sold soon after everything came to light. No one in the family wanted it. How could they stay in a place where so much suffering had occurred, where so many lies had been built? The secrets Margaret had hidden for decades were exposed. The transformation in Sarah's life was brutal. She had to rebuild everything she thought she knew about her family. She had to accept that the grandmother she loved carried a dark past, full of decisions that changed the course of many lives. And perhaps the most painful lesson of all was understanding that sometimes the people we love most carry shadows we would never imagine. They live double lives, hide truths, build facades so perfect that we never suspect anything. But do you know what moved Sarah the most? Realizing how innocent objects can hold truths capable of destroying or liberating. A cell phone forgotten in the basement, a metal box buried under old boards, a yellowed photograph in an old newspaper. Simple, everyday things that we pass by every day without appreciating them. But in the right hands, at the right time, they can reveal an entire hidden life. They can bring to light secrets that changed destinies, that took lives, that built lies for generations. And that's exactly what happened. That cell phone became the missing piece in a puzzle that no one knew existed. Robert Harrison never ran away. He didn't abandon his family because of debts. He wasn't a coward. He fought until the last second for the truth. And even though he paid the highest price, he left a legacy. He left a trail that Sarah was able to follow. And thanks to a device forgotten in time, thrown into a dark corner of a dusty basement, his voice was finally heard. His truth finally came to light. And this, in some strange and painful way, brought peace. Because now Sarah knows what really happened. Now she can honor her uncle's memory for real, without the lies the family told for so long. She looks at that cell phone and sees more than just an object. She sees courage. She sees someone who refused to live a lie even knowing the danger. And that changed her mindset about everything. About family, about truth, about the weight of the choices we make and the secrets we keep. If you've made it this far, I know this story touched you just as it touched me while I was telling it. Because these stories aren't just about mysteries, they're about real people, about life-changing decisions, about truths we carry without even knowing it. And if this kind of content resonates with you, if you also believe that every secret deserves to be told, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Here I bring stories like this, that deeply resonate, that make us think about the behind-the-scenes aspects of people's lives. And every week, there's a new story waiting for you. If this story impacted you in any way, leave a like below. It shows me that the connection we created here was worthwhile, that the time you dedicated to listening to Sarah and Robert's story made a difference. And tell me in the comments, right, Robert deserved justice, if you also believe he did the right thing, even knowing the risk. I read every comment and love to know what you think. And you know that feeling of wanting to discover more? I have another story here on the channel that will leave you speechless about something that was found inside a wall during a renovation and that revealed a secret kept for over 50 years. Click on the screen I left for you. I guarantee you won't regret it. Thank you for being here with me until the end. Until the next story.